Usually, central banks all around the world, the only precious metal reserve that they hold, and they've been adding on a lot to it, of course, in the last 3 years, is gold. But there is some proof, small proof, albeit, that a major central bank in the Middle East is starting to acquire silver. And I think that could be explosive, not just for the price, but just for the whole precious metals market.
Central banks may be preparing to change the rules of the game. For decades, gold has been the only precious metal officially hoarded in reserves, but Mario Innecco, a seasoned market analyst, suggests silver could soon join the list. The idea isn't theoretical. Russia has already added silver and platinum to its reserves, and now Saudi Arabia has made a striking move of its own. The Saudi Central Bank recently purchased 932,000 shares of the SLV ETF, a position worth over $30 million. For a central bank to step into the silver market in this way is unusual, and it adds credibility to the notion that silver might start playing a larger role in global monetary strategy. This follows Russia's earlier push, with some reports hinting at undisclosed Russian buying that has been a quiet but powerful force behind silver's surge. Meanwhile, the technical picture shows silver is at a critical juncture. The metal just closed the week under $39, its highest weekly finish of the year, and a level not seen since August 2011, nearly 14 years ago. Yesterday's peak at $39.06 now leaves silver pressing against the crucial $39.50 resistance. A breakout above that line could trigger stop orders and attract a flood of new buyers, potentially accelerating the rally. Innecco's point is simple. The timing of rising central bank interest and silver's technical strength may not be a coincidence. While most central banks remain focused on gold, the actions of Russia and Saudi Arabia could be the first signs of a broader shift. If larger economies like China or India follow suit, silver's role in the global financial system could expand in ways few investors expect. Make sure to tune in for our expert analysis. Don't miss out on future content. Hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications to stay in the loop. Your support is greatly appreciated.
We're going to look at silver today and whether central banks are going to start monetizing silver. And by monetizing, I mean starting to add on to their reserves, monetary reserves, add on silver, physical silver, which is something that only the Russian central bank or the finance ministry has been doing. Usually, central banks all around the world, the only precious metal reserve that they hold, and they've been adding on a lot to it, of course, in the last 3 years, is gold. But there is some proof, small proof, albeit, that a major central bank in the Middle East is starting to acquire silver. And I think that could be explosive, not just for the price, but just for the whole precious metals market. And I think it makes sense because if the world has to go back to having some kind of real money reserves, and I think that's becoming more and more clear, especially vis-a-vis the BRICS. But also vis-a-vis the US, there's a lot of talk of revaluation using gold as a reserve asset. It makes sense that they also use silver. It will provide more liquidity for not just the financial system, but for the economies. I think it's a no-brainer. Yes, silver is going to continue to be a very important industrial material or metal. But yeah, and that's what could drive the price a lot higher, the fact that central banks are going to start looking at silver. And what's the news about silver? Well, it hasn't even been reported in the news, but I have to thank actually SRS Rocco, and I've had SRS Rocco on the channel before, a couple of years ago, and he posted on X what central bank just became a significant buyer of a silver ETF, a new trend change. That's right, the Saudi Central Bank just took a large stake in SLV ETF. So there you go. It says here Saudi Central Bank. It was on the 14th of August. They bought 932,000 shares worth just over $30 million. So the Saudi Central Bank actually, I think, is called the Saudi Monetary Authority, or SAMA, but they've put it here as Saudi Central Bank. And I wanted to find this online, so I looked for it because I always want to be 100% sure that these things are legitimate, even though I trust SRS Rocco. But anyway, I found it, and it's here. Where is it? There you go. Saudi Central Bank. That's how much they bought here. 932,000 shares. And I said the Russians, they started buying silver as well last year. I think they announced in September that they're going to start buying silver and platinum. So Kitco even covered it. When did they cover it? Oh, that's July this year. Russia's central bank may be boosting silver prices through undeclared purchases. Silver prices may be benefiting from undeclared but substantial buying by Russia's central bank, according to journalist Tim Treadgold. Silver is moving out of a long shadow cast by gold, its precious metal sister. Treadgold, I think it's more like a big brother gold, really, wrote in a Forbes article on Tuesday evening with hints of a major new buyer, Russia's central bank, starting to influence the silver price, which has risen to 14-year highs. Yes, and yesterday, August 22nd, we closed at a 14-year weekly closing high. So yeah, they announced this in September last year. As you can see here, it plans to add silver to its state reserve fund for the first time. Yeah, I'm not saying here that all central banks now are going to start loading up on silver and that silver is going to go through the moon, but I think it's very interesting because Russia, as you know, is part of BRICS. Saudi Arabia is kind of on the fence. They are posted as being members of BRICS, but officially they're still kind of trying not to alienate the Americans. But I think this is a new trend, and I wouldn't be surprised to see also the Chinese and other banks, central banks, maybe even India, starting to buy silver. And next, I want to look at silver, the weekly chart of silver. And silver as well, if you expand the chart here, as you can see, this is the highest closing weekly price, 38, well, almost 39 in the spot this year. And if you go back, if you stretch the chart back, it's actually the highest level since August 2011, so 14 years. So this is the level here that will probably trigger some stops. It's around 39.50. I think the high yesterday was, what was it, 39.06. So that's silver.
Mario Innecco points out that the strength in precious metals isn't just about gold and silver bullion. Mining stocks tied to the sector, such as GDX and SILJ, are also showing bullish momentum, suggesting that investors are beginning to position themselves for a broader move. To frame this in context, he leans on Michael Oliver's analysis, which highlights an important divergence. While the S&P 500 keeps pressing into record highs, its RSI momentum has been slipping. That kind of weakness beneath the surface has historically signaled exhaustion, often preceding a shift in capital flows. This is where gold's technical setup becomes especially important. On the weekly chart, gold is forming a pennant right beneath the $3,400 resistance zone. Innecco notes that these formations typically resolve in the direction of the prevailing trend, which for gold has been higher. The implication is clear: pressure is building, and a breakout above $3,400 could unleash significant upside. Meanwhile, currency markets are quietly reinforcing this scenario. The US dollar index has been trending lower throughout the year. Though it still holds a long-term uptrend line that dates back to 2011, If that line gives way decisively, the dollar could face a sharp move lower. Against that backdrop, precious metals are positioned well. With equities flashing fatigue, the dollar losing momentum, and technical patterns in both bullion and miners lining up, Innecco argues that gold and silver may be approaching the moment when consolidation turns into a breakout. Let's get back to the interview.
I said that not just the bullion, gold and silver, but also GDX and SILJ, the gold and silver miners, they're looking very bullish in terms of the S&P. And yes, as Michael Oliver says, we could continue to make new highs and people are going to cheer, but he thinks we're very near a top. Of course, he's done momentum analysis. And yesterday I mentioned as well that there's a big divergence with the RSI and the S&P on the, I think it could be the weekly or daily chart. I don't remember, but you can watch my video from yesterday if you haven't yet. So I thought that was interesting from Michael Oliver. So let's look at the charts. First chart I'm going to bring up is the chart of gold, and it's a weekly chart. So as you can see, we're still in this consolidation. We've got like a pennant forming. And next week, I've checked this overhead line here, trend line, is right around 3,400. That's in the spot price. So we're getting very close. We're getting very close to the market deciding whether it's going to go up or fail. Usually, and this is called a continuation pattern. Why continuation? Well, because since the beginning of the year, we saw, well, the trend has been higher. This is the first leg up here until April. So that's the move higher, then the consolidation. And in technical analysis, 3 out of 4 times, this consolidation resolves itself on the market continuing the previous trend, which was up. So what I'm saying here, nothing in life or in markets are guaranteed, but there's a 3 in 4 chance. So that's how gold is looking. Let's have a look at the S&P because we just spoke about it. So yeah, we made an all-time high here in the S&P, and Michael Oliver thinks we could keep moving a little higher, but he thinks we are near a major top. Let's look at the dollar index because that's not looking very good either. Not this chart I want. I want this one here. Yeah, this is the dollar index chart that I want. And you can see that it's been trying to, it's been consolidating here. It's been the opposite of gold. The trend has been lower this year, and then we've had a consolidation here. And it's fighting really hard to hold on to this trend line, which goes all the way back to, it's a long time, 2011 or so. But I think on a momentum basis, according to Michael Oliver, the dollar index is also losing momentum. So we could see a major move, a major new leg, and that would help gold and silver massively come out of these consolidations. That's just a short-term thing because over the long term, gold will not really follow the dollar index. There's not a very good correlation. And why do I say that? Well, because back in 2008, the dollar index dropped to 70.69. That's the all-time low. And gold was at $1,000. And here we are now just below 100 in the dollar index, and gold is almost at 3,400. And if you go even further back to March 1973, when the dollar index was started trading, it started at 100 and gold was around $85. So over the long term, I would ignore the dollar index vis-a-vis gold direction. But in the short term, I think it could be what sparks the next leg up in gold. So that's how I see things.
What's unfolding is less about short-term trading and more about a shift in the monetary order. When nations outside the usual Western bloc start experimenting with different reserve assets, it signals that the old playbook of relying solely on gold may no longer be enough. Silver's re-emergence, coupled with weakening confidence in the dollar and visible cracks in equity momentum, creates the possibility of a structural realignment in where wealth and security are stored. If gold pushes through its ceiling and silver gains legitimacy as a reserve metal, the global financial map could look very different within a few years, with capital flowing in directions few policymakers had planned for. Does this quiet accumulation by central banks hint at the early stages of a monetary framework where silver holds equal weight to gold, or is it simply a prelude to deeper shifts in how global reserves are defined? Share your perspective in the comments section. If the video resonates with you, join our community by subscribing to our channel and enabling notifications with the bell icon. Thank you for being a part of our community.